Hello, class. Today we're looking at Chapter 1, Lesson 5, using the Pythagorean theorem. So if you remember from last lesson, our equation we need to memorize, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's really what we need to know. So last time we were working on finding what c squared, what the hypotenuse was. Well, now we're going to take it in reverse and be able to find out what any leg is. So, for example, with our first one, finding a leg of a right triangle. So, if we take 9 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared and work that equation out, 9 times 9 is 81 plus b squared equals 15 times 15 equals 225. Well, we want b to be by itself, so we need to get rid of the 81. So we're going to subtract 81 from both sides. So these cancel out, so then we get b squared equals 225 subtract 81 equals 144. So now we want the square root of b squared and the square root of 144. So the square root of b squared is just going to be b, and the square root of 144 is 12. Therefore, b equals 12 centimeters. So our next problem here says that the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 20.2 feet long. One leg is 12.6 feet long. Find the length of the other to the nearest tenth. So let's fill this in. The hypotenuse is 20.2. One leg is 12.6. So let's put that in an equation. 12.6 squared. I don't know why I put it in a parentheses. You don't really have to do that. Equals 20.2 squared. So 12.6 times 12.6 equals 158.76 plus b squared equals 20.2 times 20.2 is going to equal 408.04. We want b to be by itself, so we're going to subtract 158.76 from each side. Those are going to cancel out and equal 0. And when we subtract those two numbers, we get 249.28. And it said round to the nearest tenth. The 2's in the 10th place. So the 8 is going to make it round up. So therefore, B equals 249.3. And it was feet. So applying this to why we might need to know this or use it in life, if you were a scientist or if you worked for a satellite company, you might want to use it to know where your satellite, how far your satellite is going to be hitting. So here's my little Earth, and it's not quite where it needs to be. It should be touching over here is where my circle should be. So if we know what this is, if this is 4,000 and this right here is 4,000 miles, but then this is 22,200 miles, and we want to know how far it is from the satellite to this point on Earth, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure that out. So a squared is going to be what we're trying to figure out. And we know that b squared right here is 4,000 squared. And that's going to equal this 4,000 plus the 22,200. So that's going to equal 26,200 squared. So when we multiply that out, 4,000 squared is going to equal some big numbers. 16 million, and 26,200 squared is going to be equal to 686,440,000. Oh goodness. And here we have a squared. So we want a by itself. So we're going to subtract 16 million from both sides. And then that's going to equal 670,440,000 a squared. We want to do the square root of both, so then we get a equals, and you can use a calculator for this. The square root of 670,440,000 is going to be equal to 25,890, and then I'm going to round 3. So approximately 25,893 miles is what A is equal to. So kind of cool. So now let's apply it to construction. So the bottom of an 18-foot ladder is 5 feet from the house. Find the distance from the top of the ladder to the ground. Round to the nearest tenth of a foot. So go ahead and try to do this one on your own, and then come on back to me and see if you got it right. Okay, so I did a squared plus 5 squared equals 18 squared. The 5 squared equals 25, 18 squared equals 325. I'm going to subtract 25 from each side to get a by itself. A squared equals 299. The square root of each of those equals a. And approximately, I did have to round, 17.3 feet. Okay, so now we're going to look at this triangle. And we are going to name the 2 legs and the hypotenuse of the triangle above. So if we're going to name this is leg 1, and it could be either one as leg 1, we are going to name it PR, line PR. And so to show that, you just put a line above the 2 letters. This second leg is going to be leg RQ. So we're going to do RQ. You could do QR, you could do RP. Either of those in either order just shows that those 2 lines connected are the leg. Now the hypotenuse is from P to Q. Could be from Q to P. But we'll do PQ is the hypotenuse with a line over the top. Go ahead and get started on your homework, page 29 through 30, number 7 through 17 odds. Do it on a separate note. When you are finished, please have your parents check your work in the back of the book and make sure that you are on track. Happy homeworking!